Because if I don't know, if I miss a message, oh my God, the world will come to an end. The Santa answering machine owns me. It's got me. It absolutely owns me. I can't relax. There are people, we talk about this a lot in therapy, there are people that cannot relax when they walk in their door till they write down all 10 messages on the machine. Because that owns them. They're run by that. There's one thing that runs me. There's one thing I'm afraid of, and that's Allah. My life's been threatened as a Muslim. Weapons have been found. Contracts have been put out on my life. That didn't scare me. But how I serve Allah and whether I'm thankful to Allah, that scares me. Whether I express my gratitude to Allah, that scares me. Because that's important. Other questions? Other comments? Yes, brothers.
Regarding the scholars that issue fatwa for people from other countries and so on, big example of that is Imam Ghazali, Imam Shafi'i. Imam Shafi'i, when he moved to Egypt towards the end of his life, he completely changed his fatwa because to adapt to the Egyptian culture and so on. So he's you know, Imam Shafi'i is, of course, one of the four imams of the madhab. Another thing is that you have heard from people think that poverty is a curse, but actually it's a blessing sometimes, because I have a friend of mine, he said that we were raised poor in a poor family. And the good thing about it that it puts us together, because all of us we have to figure out how to save money to sustain us until the end of the month. So the sisters and brothers and so on, they work together to make it until the end of the month. So it was a blessing for them.
There's a beautiful story of a lady who goes to St. Luke's United Methodist Church, and she's very concerned about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict and has made several visits and even tried to bring a Palestinian United States of America. And so she sort of took some big risks when she was over there, and she ended up in a village, and this lady invited her in, and she didn't have much food, but she wanted that lady to eat of her food. And she said she had never met such a grateful person that had so little. They were in the camps, she was in the camps, all these people living in such a small place, but this woman was so grateful and wanted her to partake of what she did have. And the lady said, but how will you feed your family? And she said, Allah will provide. And that's the kind of gratitude that we really need to have. You know, there's a beautiful hadith that the companions with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and of course, you know, there were times when the companions did not get a lot of meat. And that night they had meat. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to them, you will give account for that which you eat. And the Sahaba went away that night scratching their head, and they were perplexed. And they thought, wow, you know, we don't get much meat, and we're going to give account for this. And we must be grateful and thankful. And so the next day when they went to see Rasulullah, one of the companions asked him, oh Rasulullah, we are here in this barren land, and you told us that we have to be grateful. And like, what do we have to be grateful for? And he said, do you have sandals on your feet? And let me tell you, just think about it. When I was in Saudi Arabia, it was 113 degrees. If you think that walking on the asphalt in Florida is bad, or on the dirt when it's 100, try walking on it on 113 without sandals. They say, Shukran Allah for my sandals. Shukran Allah for my hat. Shukran Allah for my hijab that protects me from the rays. Maybe we men need to start wearing kufis so we don't get the rays on our head. Allahu Akbar. But there are many ahadith. I mean, today I touched the surface. I just wanted to show you verses in the Quran about gratitude. But there are so many verses, and most of them I talked about. I didn't even get into all the depth of shukr. But gratitude is a part of Islam. You know, we believe as Muslims that Allah doesn't make any mistakes, and whatever is coming to us is a gift from Allah. And there's a funny story, but when I had my cancer, I was coming out of recovery and they couldn't stop my bleeding. And there was an imam in the recovery room, and there was a chaplain that worked with me in the prison system. And I was laying there sort of semi-conscious. I said, Shukranallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. And the guy said, well, that's the first Pentecostal Muslim I ever met. But the thing was, I was so grateful to Allah because I was alive. All I do is, I don't care, the blood is going everywhere, alhamdulillah, but I'm still alive. And the man who was a chaplain with me, he would, almost every time he saw me, I'll never forget that. He said, I never saw anything like that, that in the midst of what looked like was going to be death, you were thanking God. And he would always talk about this. He was a Jamaican brother, and he would always talk about how that, he said, you know, I almost became Muslim that day. He said that. He said, I never saw anybody that could thank God for death. So yes, you know, when we have cancer, when we have things that to anybody else in the world would be negative, we say, alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. This is a test, this is a gift, this is a na'am from Allah. He said, he promised us, does man think he will attain to faith of mere words? La, no, I tested them aforetime and I will test them now to see who is the true among the false. And when you get through a test, that lets you know whether you are true or whether you are false. Whether you're a believer or whether you're in disbelief. It's powerful, folks. That is the kind of gratitude that we as Muslims have. We are always, always, always thanking Allah for every single thing that happens, no matter what it looks like, no matter what it smells like. In the unseen, whatever is happening to you is a blessing. I may not understand it, but I just know it's a blessing. No matter how things rough get in my life, and there are people in this room that have known me for years. And I know Allah loves me because He's tested me. I think me and Kathy have been in the hospital more than any two human people I know. I'm not kidding either. I'm not exaggerating. But anyone that knows me well knows that every time you come, I'm thanking Allah. Alhamdulillah, I'm in the hospital. MashaAllah. Allahu Akbar. And that's the life of the Muslim. Yes, sister.
No, if you could repeat the part about Allah testing us.
Oh, in Surah Ankabut, it says, this man think he will attain to faith by mere words. It's Surah Ankabut. I think that's chapter 29, the first 5 verses. Does man think he will attain to faith in mere words? Just saying, I'm a believer. No, that says, I tested them aforetime and I'll test them now to see who is the true among the false. So Allah has said that you can't get to faith without test. So we should thank Allah for the test because that's how we get to faith. That's how we build our faith. It's the same way with marriage. When your marriage is on the rocks a little bit, say alhamdulillah. Because this is how I complete my faith. Marriage is half of Islam. Why do you think that is? Because as long as you live, a man will never understand a woman, and a woman will never understand a man. Because we are wired differently.
That's true.
We try, and we sort of try to learn how to communicate and try to hook into the left brain and the right brain and all that stuff. But we try to do all that, but we don't understand it. And if you talk to some older brothers like us, we haven't figured it out, right, brother? But we love them. We know that it's from Allah. And it's how we complete our faith. You see, I've said this before, a single man, he comes in, he throws his dirty underwear over there in the corner because he thinks nobody knows. Then he gets married and the wife says, what is this? He said, that's a pair of Calvin Kleins. No, this doesn't go on the floor. She knows it's underwear, but you see, you can't hide anymore. When you get married, you're exposed. And therefore you have to practice. You have to develop your faith, or you'll start giving account to your spouse. They will make you accountable because they will confront you. And that's a gift. Sometimes it doesn't feel like one. Any other questions? prayer is at 1. For those of you who'd like to, if you need to get your wudu or anything, the prayer is at 1. Any other questions before we close out? I'd like to thank you all for being here today. I love you all for the sake of Allah. I ask you to pray for me that Allah will continue to give me health so that I can continue to teach and continue to help us meet so that we can feed people the true and peaceful message of Islam. Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.